Hi, Weather Joey here with your bottom of the South Island weather recap and a little bit of a forecast. It's been a while since I've been here, but today is Tuesday, January 16th, 2024. It's been over a month since I've seen you. I've been busy, holidays, renovating the basement, sleeping down in the basement. Kids, nephews are down there. I'm kind of just hanging out in my little zone. So we're just going to get caught up. I'm going to read through. That's why I got these glasses on. Going to read through, catch up to where we are today. What's going on there? And I think the last forecast was December 9th. So we're catching up from December 9th. But before we get started, as always, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank and acknowledge the first peoples of this land, the First Nations from North Saanich to Sooke and beyond across this beautiful land they call Turtle Island, for allowing us to live, work, and play on their beautiful traditional territories. Many thanks. Yes, as we watched a long fall, December was all fall, warmest December on record. And that's over 75 years of record. So warmest December ever. Really, we didn't see any signs of winter throughout December. And that carried on from October, November, December. So a 3-month fall compared to last year, which was like a little 1 week fall, maybe 2 weeks. And that kind of carried into January. But now we have seen signs of winter. And we'll get into that in a second. But yeah. We're going to get into that right now. So let's see, let's go back. We left off on the 9th. Let's say another dry break for the 8th, and even some decent clearing with morning frost as another stronger surface ridge moves in from the west-southwest. Meanwhile, new low pressure moves into the lower Gulf of Alaska. You guys know what I'm talking about. Tracking up toward the Panhandle by the morning of the 9th. This brings a strong front in from the west-southwest. And that's what it was generally, was a stormy flow up through here from the southwest. Mild, kept us in storms, dry breaks in between, but always from the southwest. California got hammered with waves down there, lots of weather, kind of an El Nino pattern. Anyway, by the morning of the 10th, this front has moved through and rain has eased by early morning. However, low cloud fog persists in its wake in a westerly flow. It's not until the 11th that we see some partial clearing as ridging moves in from the west, keeping us dry into the 12th. New low pressure in Alaska creates a strong southwest flow, broad, strong southwest flow through offshore waters with cloud moving in from the west as this south-southwest, north-northeast front approaches. This weakened front crosses through the day of the 13th and overnight. That's sort of that direction front, crossing from that way. Overnight into the 14th, things dry out through the day of 14th after the passage of this front. However, a south flow with troughing offshore continues to bring a cloud thickening late with light rain into the morning of the 15th as a weak front crosses. High pressure tries to build up from the U.S. West Coast through the day. And we do see some drying and clearing into the night with a crescent moon, beautiful crescent moon. But low cloud persists for many on the 16th under a pretty benign flow. Meanwhile, low pressure off the U.S. West Coast that had cut off from that previous offshore troughing that had stretched down from the Gulf of Alaska brings a southerly flow back up to the south coast, and with it fog and a bit of rain for some on the 17th. The southerly flow continues and gets reinvigorated as new low pressure from the west moves into offshore waters. More rain for the 18th and on into the 19th as this low migrates down to fuse with low in the U.S. West Coast. This sort of flow gives a lot of rain to the east side of the island, so you'll see numbers up there for precipitation. By the 20th, this low is cutting off over Cali coast, and we see a westerly flow to start push onto the BC coast. It starts out mostly dry but cloudy and quite mild. Generally low pressure in the Gulf of Alaska sees a disturbance move along this flow and swings into Haida Gwaii on the 21st, bringing a weak front in from the west. This front continues to bring light rain overnight into the 22nd with continued mild temps. After the passage of this front, we see drying later in the day of the 22nd with a weak surface high pressure moving in with this westerly flow. This has some minor ridging support down the U.S. west coast that keeps things dry and even clearer into the 23rd with a frosty morning. Meanwhile, strong low pressure has moved into the Gulf of Alaska, sending a front in from the west-southwest overnight into the 24th. This has weakened substantially as it pushes onto the coastal high pressure and all but fizzes to nothing but cloud and a sprinkle. It's the next low moving in from the west and sweeping up towards the panhandle that brings stronger winds and more rain for Christmas Day as the front crosses from the southwest. Rain eases overnight as the front passes through and a ridge of surface high pressure moves in from the southwest with a nice mild dry mix of sun and cloud for the 26th. Meanwhile, strong low pressure has moved into waters well offshore of the U.S. west coast, bringing cloud once again up from the south late. Light rain for most falls off and on overnight and into the 27th as this low moves up the coast through offshore waters. A second low moves on into offshore waters off the U.S. west coast and keeps a mild wet west or southerly flow going for the 28th, 29th, and on into the 30th as coastal troughing persists all up the coast. This is this coastal troughing. By the 30th, this trough is dissipating as we see a weak onshore push from the southwest carry us into a drier 31st. This finishes out a relatively wet, stormy December, but the warmest on record, with little snow for the hills all fall. Okay, now we're into January 2024. Missed that one by 2 years. Back to it. A dry, mildish southwest flow continues into the first day of the new year, but storm activity is set to return to an active northeast Pacific. It starts with a large storm up near the Alouettes, the Aleutians, same thing. Not the same thing, sorry. Bringing a long front onto the BC coast from the southwest. At the tail end of this, a low spins up offshore northwest Pacific with cloud, then rain up from the south all day. On second, this low trough fills and moves inland on the 3rd with a trailing trough moving through early on the 4th, this time from the west. In behind, we see brief drying. Temps have remained mild. This overall westerly flow is being powered by strong low pressure, and this is a change now. Strong low pressure in the Gulf of Alaska, which is now bringing cooler air from the northeast Pacific. It also brings a little low in from the west, swinging up over Haida Gwaii Panhandle on the 5th. This brings a strongish front across from the west that dumps a load of snow up on the south coast hill, the first load of snow of the season, really. And people are scrambling. You should have seen the lineups up at Whistler. It was ridiculous. Meanwhile, high pressure ridging is starting to build up into the Gulf of Alaska, bringing a slowly cooling northwest flow across the BC coast. In the wake of that low and clearing skies for the 6th and into the 7th, frosty morning. However, strong low pressure up in the Aleutians and Bering sends a weak cold front onto the coast. Cold rain all day on the 8th as this crosses from the west, intensifying late at night as a very strong bomb spins up, crossing the North Vancouver Island overnight with very strong west to northwest winds on the backside for the 9th. Power showers and tons more snow for the hills. Well, quite a bit more snow for the hills. Meanwhile, cold continental air, and this is where we really start to see winter, that's been lurking over the BC, Alberta, Yukon area, starts to make its push towards the coast. This is aided by strong ridging building in the Gulf of Alaska, bringing a northerly flow down, helping that come down, and helping to facilitate a northerly flow. I already said that. Skies slowly clear through the 10th, but temps remain seasonable with this initial northwest marine flow. It's not until the 11th that the Arctic air floods across the coast with strong northeast outflows. This brings a light fall of snow to many before the northeast Dry air dominates for the 12th, dropping temps to the -10 to -15 degree range with wind chills in the -20 to -30. Brr, some records fall. It's an Arctic blast. Temperatures stay cold for the 13th as we see a little low slide down underneath across the Pacific Northwest, more towards Oregon. They see snow down there, but we stay cold and mostly clear up here. The outflows ease. By the 14th, this offshore ridge up here that was up here doing this northerly flow is moving on to the coast, but temperatures remain quite cold with cold air dominating over the interior. This pattern continues into the 15th with temps slowly edging upward. That brings us to the 16th today. We got a system coming up from the south. Now this system, we still got cold air here. We got a little disturbance coming down here, and this is for all my plants, animals, minerals, spirits and beings friends out there. Little forecast here. I've been sending it out, but this little system comes up here and it looks like it's going to draw this cold air in here, and we are looking at the potential of snow for overnight tonight and into tomorrow. Potentially another system coming in. The whole pattern is changing more from the southwest, but while this air is here, still cold, we could see a bunch of snow here. However, that may continue into Thursday. Yes, it's maybe a bit of a gong show. We may see some freezing rain with cold air down below and warm air riding up over top of it. Could be a gong show. However, this will eventually, the southwest storm track will eventually overpower, and we're looking at back to the southwest, mild, wet, hopefully enough to build a snowpack up in the mountains, because we will need that for the spring. Anyway, that was quick. Hope that helps you out, you guys, in the future. Hope you understood that and followed that. Those here in the present, blessed be that you are here and I am here to experience this together. Anyway, not well said, but well felt. And as always, my friends, may the forecast be with you.